Hey guys, it's Kathy. Welcome back. I've missed you. Sorry, I've been working very hard. I have a long one tonight. I tried a couple times to break it up to make it smaller, but it's just a long one. Um, and the audio is imperfect. You can hear the judge perfectly. You can hear everybody on the stand perfectly, but you can't always hear the lawyers. It gets better and worse and better and worse. But you can guess what they say from from the way the judge yells and the responses from the people on the stand. It's a divorce case, which you're not gonna know that right off the bat. It takes you a while to figure it out, but it takes some twists and turns. People get arrested in the middle of this divorce, not in the court here today, but it comes out of nowhere, and the judge is just cranky at everybody. Oh, I wanted to tell you one more thing, and it just slipped my mind. Yeah, if you don't like, if you have, you're gonna have a problem with bad audio of the lawyers, then just go somewhere else. Watch Mike Law Talk with Mike. He's awesome. Oh, I know. I missed the first 20 minutes. It's live, so I couldn't rewind it. So we're starting almost exactly 20 minutes in, and it's still real long. All right, here we go.
I never got something I can't think.
Your Honor, obviously my client's having trouble answering. I would ask that Ms. Maddox give him sufficient time to answer before she asks another question. And
I think she's doing very well at giving him plenty of time to respond. I think your client's being somewhat evasive to not only Miss Maddox's questions, but my questions. Go ahead.
Mr. Collins, do you agree with me then that you can, in fact, work?
If you can do that, I can't speak. I can't do that.
Okay? You just testified a moment ago that you needed a different vehicle to
And
do
I
what
can
you
I
Let
can
her finish, okay?
what vehicle?
Well, her question.
and I
Let
can
her finish, okay? Do we have an understanding,
Yes.
Mr. Collins? Well, her question.
and I
Let
can
her finish,
To do what
okay?
you
Do we have an understanding, Mr. Collins? Well, her question.
and I
Let
can
her
understand
finish.
that you assist on a regular weekly basis in a food drive. Is that correct?
yes,
You pick up the food, you rearrange the food, and you distribute the food.
yes,
Correct?
yes,
So what I'm getting at, you can do all that, but yet you are either hiding your work or you're choosing not to just for the purposes of this divorce. Is that true?
it's not true.
Okay. You admit about the excavator, correct?
Yes,
All right. Now, isn't it true that at your property you have two side-by-sides?
what is it?
Side-by-side ATV vehicles.
Those are not mine.
So you have two of them there?
No, that was Joseph.
Who is Joseph?
My my s- my brother's son.
But there are two side-by-sides located on your property
Yes.
right this minute as we speak.
Mm-mm.
No?
Mm-mm.
Were they there on Friday night?
I seen you up there, but I didn't win.
Answer the question. She didn't ask you if you saw her up there. She asked you were they there on Friday night.
It
It's a
wasn't.
real simple process.
It
Mr.
wasn't
Collins.
there.
Okay.
You got a skid steer on your property?
Yeah.
And who
It's
owns-
not mine. That is Eric's.
Who is Eric?
Guy right beside where I have my stuff at.
You also have a tractor on your property,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
And that's your tractor, isn't it?
And I pay for that. well,
Show me.
10 years ago.
Show me, okay, you were married to my client 10 years ago, weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, she was your wife, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That makes that her tractor too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, can you show me on this financial affidavit where you listed this tractor? Where'd you put it?
I haven't done that. I mean, somebody else done that. I can't do that.
Did you sign it, Mr. Collins?
Sir,
Did you sign that affidavit?
I probably, yeah.
And you signed it saying it was true and correct, did
Yeah.
you not? Okay.
Well, is it 10 years ago?
You signed that affidavit 10 years ago?
No, when I done that,
All right, right now, I want you to go over every piece of equipment you currently have in your possession that was bought since your date of marriage to that lady in 2003.
I think I got is, the 2000 International dump truck.
Okay, you did put that in your financial affidavit. And you say that
You posed a question to me, Miss Maddox. Let's let him respond to that question. You got a 2000 International truck.
Yes.
All right, what else do you know?
My tractor
What kind of tractor is it?
is a 5075 John Deere.
All right. What else?
I got my truck.
The Denali?
Yes.
All right, what else?
I got a cat. That was not mine. That is Eric's. I think that's all.
Did you say you thought that was all?
I think so.
Okay. Cat that you say is Eric's. What is that?
It's like a, it is a skid steer. I put excavator, but it's a skid steer.
Is that different than the excavator that you talked about that was listed in your tax returns?
I don't have that.
Okay, so it's different.
And that would be what? Almost 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
Isn't it true you also have cows on your land?
Yes.
Those are your cows?
No. Those are Hector's.
Hector's. Who is Hector?
He's got the property in Hickston.
What is Hector's last name?
It's not Rodriguez. Hold on. I can't even think what his name is.
Okay, so if Hector has cows on your land, Hector's paying you rent for putting
No,
those cows there?
he does that to make sure all that grass is gone.
So you're allowing Hector to let his cows be there out of the goodness of his heart, of your heart,
Yeah.
okay?
That's the thing I done with my food drive.
So you have extra money to spend on gas to go do the food drive that appears to not be reflected on your financial affidavit. Is that correct? Is that part of your $2,800 in expenses you have?
No. I mean, I've had that forever, and it's almost gone.
Isn't it true you also have a jet ski?
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't it true you also have Jesselyn's Yamaha
I
four-wheel?
think that was almost 20 years old.
Question, do you still have it, Mr. Collins? She didn't ask you how old it was.
But
Do you
it don't
still
even,
have
it don't work. It don't do nothing.
Do you still
Yeah,
have
I got it. Yes.
Do you understand her question?
Yes.
And I'm going to expect you to respond directly to her question.
If I can do that, I will make it happen.
But my problem is, sir, when she asks you, do you have, it doesn't mean how long you've had it. She's asking you, how do you have it now? You understand?
Yes.
So you do have the jet ski.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And you do have Jesselyn's four-wheeler.
I got both of those out there, and they come in and ride them anytime they want to.
What's the jet ski worth?
Nothing right now.
What's Jesselyn's four-wheeler worth?
I think I paid $5,000, I guess.
And she got that for Christmas in 2015?
Yeah.
And it was bought during the course of this marriage, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So yes?
Yes.
Do you have a problem with Mrs. Collins getting that four-wheeler?
Yes.
You do?
I got both of them out there. They can come out and ride them anytime you ready. They want ride them.
Okay. How old was my client when you met her, sir?
Maybe 20.
How old were you?
Wow. I mean, I don't.
No, sir. It's
I can't-
not why you respond to her question. Mr. Collins, I've got the power of contempt. And if you don't respond to her questions, I can hold you in contempt of this court.
I think
I
I
asked you the
was
question.
maybe 38 or 39.
So you're about 19 years older than her, right?
Yeah.
And the way you met her was she was your employee, correct?
Yeah.
And you asked her out on a date, right?
No.
You did not.
Me and my daughter went to go to her ball game, and she went.
Did you invite her?
No.
You didn't invite her.
She went.
So are you saying that she just threw herself upon you?
I didn't say that.
Well, I'm confused. Let me ask a different question. At some point, you impregnated that lady, correct?
Yeah.
And y'all had one child together, is that right?
Yes.
And she only had one child to her name, is that also correct?
Yes.
And that is your child.
Yes.
And you had her in your employ when all of this occurred, right?
Yes.
Okay? And then once you got her pregnant, you married her.
Yes.
And y'all married in 2003. Is that right?
Yes.
Your financial affidavit has 12/20 of 23, but I guess that's a typographical error, and it was 12/20/2003. What day did y'all get married?
December either 19th or 20th of 2003.
Yeah, but he knew the model of his tractor immediately.
You admit that she has been a good wife.
Yes.
You admit that she cooked for you.
Yeah.
You admit that she cleaned for you.
Yes.
You admit that while she worked that daycare, she got a paycheck of a mere $230 a week.
And so I got the same thing.
Okay. I'm gonna re-ask it. She got a paycheck of $230 a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
You didn't put a penny aside for her retirement, did you?
We would.
Yes or no, and then you can make whatever explanation
Yes.
you like.
You did put
No.
Okay. You admit that she took that $230 a week that she made and spent it all on the household groceries and Jesselyn the child.
No.
No. Okay. What do you say that she bought above and beyond the household bills and tending to a child with that $230?
And when I had the daycare, I didn't go.
Your Honor, I don't know how long is too long to wait before I ask and say it's non-responsive.
It's up to you, Miss Maddox.
I ask the court to direct him to answer the question.
Respond to the question.
I'm
Mr.
trying
Cox.
to do this because I can't speak.
Mr. Collins, I'll withdraw that question. All right. Can you point to me an item, a piece of property, a chunk of money, or anything at all that she was able to save out of that $230 a week she got paid as a daycare employee?
When we got ready to do this, it will be our property.
So you admit that you told her at onset that daycare was y'all's to share, and that her money that she forfeited to not get paid by getting a teeny paycheck went to the paying of the debt on that property, correct?
No, when I got ready to do the in Hickston on 252 Joe Hilton, that was our property.
252 Joe Hilton. Is that the property that has since been sold?
Yes.
It has. And what was the sales price of that property?
100 and 60,000.
Okay, so your testimony is that at least $160,000 was meant to be y'all's together, correct?
Yes.
Okay? But you sold that property.
Yes.
What did you do with the proceeds from the sale of that property?
We got that. I didn't have all of that. She was,
Where is it now?
it's gone.
It's gone. You do admit there's over $435,000.
Yes.
in a trust
But
account.
that is my daughter's.
Which one?
The one that I had before her.
So your intention,
No.
Let her finish. Mr. Collins, I'm not going to fight you over this. You heard me before. I'm going to let her finish the question, then you respond, just like I'm not going to let her interject herself in your response. Listen to her question, please, sir.
Thank you.
is it your intention to give that $435,000 plus to your other child from a prior marriage?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
You know what? I've asked her, I said, well, I wanted to give her at least $100,000 of that.
No, I would object for him throwing out.
No,
No, I
let
didn't.
him testify.
I
Let him testify.
No, I didn't do what you thought I done from in Soperton. I didn't do that.
Talking about a deposition?
Yes, I didn't do that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what did you say, Ms. Maddox?
I said a deposition. What do you mean to do that?
When they said, I said, well, what did you want me to do? I said, well, I would do it for $100,000, and they went to do at least it was either 10 or 15. I said I wouldn't have done that.
Okay. So you agree she's worth at least $100,000?
Yes,
Okay. In fact, for y'all had the daycare up until when?
I don't know.
Is it true that the daycare went away after you got arrested for allegedly roughhousing a child?
I didn't do that.
The word was allegedly.
Okay.
She didn't say you did it. She said it was alleged. And then that was a point of reference as to when the daycare was sold.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes.
That's when you sold the daycare?
Yes.
That's when you leased it out to somebody else initially, right?
Mhm.
And that was around 2017, correct?
Yes.
So she had worked in that daycare for 14 years.
And I done the same thing.
You also worked other places too.
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And you made money in other ways, correct?
And I spent that on her and my daughters.
Sir, isn't it true you spent it on buying property that is now in your name? I'd ask him to answer the question, Your Honor.
Answer the question.
What did you say?
Isn't it true you spent all that money on property that's now in your name?
Yes.
Okay? And that money was earned during the course of y'all's marriage.
Yes.
So right now, well, I want to go back to the daycare for a minute. Isn't it true that as a part of those allegations, Mrs. Collins was also arrested and accused of tampering with evidence as a result of your conduct.
Can you tell me what you said again?
Isn't it true that Mrs. Collins was arrested and accused of tampering with evidence because of your conduct surrounding the allegations at the daycare?
I guess.
Yes?
Yeah.
Now, I don't move to admit plaintiff's exhibit one that relates to the charges as Mrs. Collins.
Objection, Mr. Collins.
Yes, Your Honor, I object to hearsay.
I'm sorry.
Unless we have the person who wrote the article, I object to hearsay.
Ms. Maddox.
I believe there is a record exception for news articles under the code.
What is it?
I'll have to look it up, but all
Well, I'm not going to take your recollection, Miss Maddox. You had to understand and appreciate that you may face an objection as to that, and for you not to have it available to the court.
I apologize. My understanding is that if it were in the pretrial brief, it would have been addressed with prior.
As to authenticity,
Sir,
as to it being authentic, not as to
I
admissibility.
got you. I'll spend time on something else.
All right.
You do agree she's arrested, right?
Yes.
You agree that as a result of that, that took her out of the daycare industry, correct?
Yeah, because I didn't do that.
And you agree that that sent her in another path as far as her employment is concerned, correct?
Yes. What about mine?
Well, you already had extra jobs, correct?
I couldn't do that no more.
Isn't it true that you continued to buy and sell equipment right on up until y'all's date of separation in 2022?
I bought at least one more excavator, and the cat that I had at that Eric has.
This cat, is Eric holding it for your benefit?
It is his.
What piece of paper says it's his?
I got the same thing because I've tried.
Is there a bill of sale?
Yes.
So you sold it?
No, it should be his.
I'm confused because the way I understood what you said was that you had a cat.
Yes.
Okay, that means it's yours.
No, it's his. You can go look in his house and you will see that.
But it's at your house.
It's at his house. I've used that at least 2 times.
So you say it's his.
It is his.
You say it's his, but you're just allowed to use it whenever you want to?
Yes.
Are you also able to sell it for him if you want to?
If he wanted that,
What if you just wanted it?
it is his.
How many other pieces of property, like tractors and things, do you have that you now say are somebody else's?
None.
So you agree that y'all rented out Onion Sprouts after you could no longer run it, correct?
Yes.
And you used that money to pay down the debt, correct?
Yes.
And you also used the money that Mrs. Collins didn't take in salary to help pay down the debt.
No.
No. So your testimony is that she was only worth $230 a week as daycare director.
I had the director part on my plate.
Isn't it true that you told other employees there that the daycare was Jessica's as well?
No.
You agree that Jessica has in her possession a 2013 Honda CRV?
And I bought that for her.
Well, it's still even titled in your name, correct?
No, because I gave it to her.
If I told you it was still titled in your name,
Yeah.
are you willing to sign that over to her?
It's supposed to be signed out now.
Okay. But if I tell you it's not, are you willing to sign it over?
Yes.
And what was that?
2013 Honda CRV. And you agree that she's driving the same vehicle that she drove since y'all bought it in about 2015, correct?
Yeah.
Isn't it true that you kept all of the stimulus money from all the stimulus payments on Jessica and Jesselyn?
I don't remember.
Can you show me where you cut a check to Jessica and or Jesselyn to give them their portion of the IRS refund stimulus monies?
I don't remember.
You didn't give it to them, did you?
No, I don't guess.
So the government sent out refunds.
Yes.
First one was $1,200 for each taxpayer and then $500 for each dependent. So you kept $1,700 that was effectively earmarked for them in your accounts, correct?
I don't even remember.
And isn't it true that during y'all's separation, Jesselyn was under the age of 18 for a period of time, and you paid nothing to help her mama out with supporting that?
And I've tried to get her to let me know what she needed.
Okay, does a child need to eat?
I've tried to talk to them,
Does a child need to eat?
but I need to talk to her so I can find out what she needed. I'm sorry.
Does a child need to eat? Please answer the question.
I already said this twice.
The question is a simple one, Mr. Collins. Does a child need to eat?
Yes.
Okay.
That costs money, doesn't
If she will let me know, I will get that for her. I've always talked to her.
it? Isn't it true true that this is the same general attitude of control and manipulation that you've had over this lady since she got married to you in
That's not right.
2003?
That's
And
not.
nothing further for this witness at this time.
All right, I have a couple of questions, Mr. Collins. In regards to this note that you say is due in a couple of weeks,
Yes.
what collateral is up for that note?
They don't have the collateral.
Okay, so it's an unsecured note.
Yes.
So obviously you're strong enough at the bank to borrow, what was it, 100, you owe, my notes, $193,000.
Yes.
And that's all I need to know.
I'm sorry.
You can step down. Mr. Colley will probably call you back to the stand at some point.
May I publish the financial affidavit, Your Honor? I think it was admitted as
It was
5B.
filed, wasn't
It was.
Okay.
it? All right, I'll take judicial notice of it in light of the fact that it's been filed. Call you next witness.
I will call Miss Wanda Mackey.
Miss Mackey,
Yes.
Wanda Mackey, Bobby
Wish I could
Ray.
just
Yes,
sit
ma'am.
down so I can give it to you.
Didn't go too good, Mike. You came across looking dishonest, man. You know.
I don't know if you heard that or not, but he sat down next to his attorney right there, and the attorney whispered to him, "You did good, but you did come off as dishonest right there."
Miss Mackey, if you'll come up here and stand in the witness box, you have already been sworn, and if you will have a seat, state your name for the record and spell your name for the record, please, ma'am.
Wanda Mackey, WandaMackey.
Thank you.
Miss Mackey, how do you know the parties in this action?
I worked for Jessica for 12 years.
And what were those years?
I think it was '08. Started in '08, I believe. And maybe 2016. I don't really remember.
You worked for her for a while?
Well, for the onion sprouts.
Okay. What was your understanding about onion sprouts? Who was the owner of onion sprouts?
Mike was the owner, Jessica run it.
Okay. And what did she do there as her running onion sprouts?
She was there all the time.
What was her daily schedule? What time did she arrive?
Usually 6:30 in the morning, and she wouldn't leave till the last child left.
And about what time was that?
Sometimes about 6 o'clock.
And was Mr. Collins at the daycare during those same time frames?
Some of the time,
Okay. And where was he at the other times?
sometimes he was working at Savannah Luggage, or sometimes he was on his farm, or he just wasn't there all the time.
Were there times where you had issues with
When I
holiday
take all those kids.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about that.
Sometimes we was understanding that we was going to get paid for it, and then when it come time to get paid for it, we didn't get paid for it.
All right, well, who would tell you you would get paid for it?
Well, Jessica would tell us that we were going to get paid for it, because she would go ask Mike, and then he would change his mind, and we didn't get paid for it,
And how do you know that he changed his mind?
because he was the one that basically done the checks. It was,
Do you know how much Mrs. Collins got paid?
she got paid less than we all did, all the employees, because after about 3 years there, we got a 25-cent raise, and Jessica didn't get one, so therefore, that made us making about $20 more a week than her.
How much money did you make a week?
I made about $250, and I cashed her check several times, and it was like $230, $240.
Were you there when the arrest and all that stuff took place?
I was.
And, how did that impact the daycare?
It was a bad slander for the daycare. I mean, the children was wanting to know why officers were showing up at the daycare. It was very embarrassing.
Object to hearsay, Your Honor.
You can't say.
Well, I mean, I think she's testifying as to what her observation and opinion is, and she hasn't said anything about what officers, I'm going to allow it. Your objection's overruled.
She would want to know why the officer.
I said your objection is overruled, Mr. Colley. Watch the hearsay, but you may proceed, Ms. Mathis.
Sorry.
You can go ahead and finish your answer.
I just would, I'd have to try to explain why they were there. I mean, kids 8, 9, 10 years old, they're going to ask questions, you know, they're going to get scared. So,
Could you see the children?
oh, yes.
And did you watch their body language?
Oh, yes.
And what did they look like?
They were scared. They wanted an explanation. I mean,
Did you see Mr. and Mrs. Collins together in their marital relationship there at the daycare?
sometimes.
And can you describe that to us, please?
Sometimes it was cordial, and other times we were embarrassed to be put in the middle of it.
Who was the instigator of the embarrassment?
A lot of times Mike,
What kind of things would he do?
just fuss and ramp.
At who?
Jessica,
Based on your observation of the job that she did there, was that warranted?
no ma'am.
Did it make her uncomfortable?
Your
I'm
Honor,
sure it
that's also
did.
speculation. I object to that.
Well, if she's basing it on what she saw, I'll allow it. Well, unless you can establish that Miss Collins told her something, she can't testify.
Did you see her general demeanor?
She didn't have to tell us anything. You could see it all over her face because she was about in tears several times.
And how often would this happen?
Maybe about once every 3 months.
Were you there when Mr. Collins had his stroke?
I was.
And while he was in the hospital and away, did you see the daily operations?
I did.
And how were the daily operations at that point?
What time Jessica wasn't at the hospital, she was at the daycare.
Did everything run smoothly?
It did.
Did you have any problems getting paid?
Sometimes we did because Jessica would be at the hospital and we couldn't get our checks.
Had anything other than that?
No.
Based on what you saw, did she appear to be an attentive wife?
Yes, ma'am.
What would her hours of the daycare be, had been at that time?
She would come in there and open up, and then she'd be there to close. But she wouldn't be there sometimes during the day. And she'd have to get permission for me to be there because I wasn't licensed to do that. But there was no other choice. I had to do that.
Did she try to keep the thing running?
She did. She did the best she could do.
How long after the stroke did the whole criminal incident happen? You remember?
I don't really remember.
Would you say there was any change in Mr.
I think after the stroke, he got more aggressive.
And how do you say that? What did he do?
Just his tone of voice.
Who did you report to?
Most of the time, Jessica.
And I couldn't even talk.
I have nothing further from this witness.
Cross-examination, Mr. Collins.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Ms. Mackey.
Good afternoon.
You said you worked for Mike and Jessica for how many years?
12 years.
12 years, okay. Did you have any complaints about Mike as a boss?
Sometimes,
Okay, but you stayed there for 12 years, though, right?
yes.
So the complaints weren't serious enough to make you quit your job, though, right?
No, I had a very sick husband, so that worked good with my husband.
Okay. All right, what time would you usually get to the daycare in the morning?
I was always the first one there after somebody opened up, so about 7.
So you weren't there when they opened up?
Sometimes I was,
Okay. Well, if you got there at 7, how would you know what time she got there?
because sometimes I was there when she was there.
But you said every day, though.
It was probably about 10 minutes after, 15 minutes after.
Okay. So you don't really know what time she got there in the morning, do you?
Well, yeah, I do know what time she got there in the morning, because if she hadn't got there when she did, children would still be standing outside when I got there.
What time did the daycare have to open?
7 o'clock.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Anything on redirect, Ms. Mattis?
No, Your Honor.
Is this witness excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ma'am, you're free to go, or you can stay if you like.
Thank you.
Call your next witness, Ms. Mattis.
Tammy Thigpen.
Ms. Thigpen. Ms. Thigpen, if you'll come up to this witness stand for me, please, ma'am. All right, if you'll have a seat and then give us your name, and if you'll be kind enough to spell your name for the record, please.
Tammy Thigpen, TammyThigpen.
Ms. Thigpen, how do you know the parties in this action?
I used to work for him.
Who would you say was your boss?
Both, but Jessica was mostly there. I dealt with Jessica most
Where was Mr. Collins?
there, and then doing other jobs and stuff like that.
Do you know what kind of other jobs he did?
While I was there, he was in the process at Savannah Luggage, fixing some equipment or something.
Did you ever call Thigpen while you were there?
I don't know if I had started when he, because I didn't work there as long as the other ones.
How long were you there?
I worked there twice. Let me see. My daughter was in 9th grade. Maybe 4 or 5 years the first time and a couple the next time.
When did you leave on a final basis?
I'm trying to think. Let's see. I think, I don't really remember the year. My grandson was starting school, so I had left there.
What kind of work environment was it when Mr. Collins was present?
It had different days. I mean, some days it was good, some days tension.
What do you mean by that?
You could just feel the tension in the air with them two.
Who would give off the most? Where did you come to believe the issues were stemming from?
Like the problems
Yes.
with Mike.
What would he do?
Just, I mean, just different days, it was just attitude, you know.
Was that before his stroke?
Yes,
Did you know him or work there after the stroke?
yes.
And was there any difference between the two?
No. honestly. Kind of rough to me.
What do you mean by that?
Just, I mean, you could feel the tension between them all the time.
Okay, how much did you get paid working there?
Minimum wage.
Okay, do you know how much Mrs. Collins got paid?
Oh, yeah, I can tell you what a check was, $230 a week, because I cashed it. Wasn't enough.
You have been in daycare for a long time?
No, just I worked in Soperton daycare for a while, and then I started with Jessica and Mike.
Based on what you saw her do on a day-to-day basis, was she working more than 200?
Oh, yes, definitely.
What all did she do on a day-to-day basis?
She run the daycare, she opened the daycare, if we had a problem, we went to Jessica about it, and, took care of the kids, she did the errands for the daycare.
Did Mike have a position with regard to what Jessica's place was at the daycare?
What you mean?
She the director? Was
Oh,
she
yes.
the owner? What was she?
She took the owner, I thought of both of them, you know what I'm saying?
Did she work at that place as though she?
Oh,
did?
yes, ma'am.
All right, cross-examination, Mr. Collins.
You can just sit
So
right
you
there,
need to,
Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Collins, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Collins may have some questions.
All right, so you worked for them, but you said you also worked at a daycare in Soperton, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You made minimum wage for Mike, and then what did you make in Soperton?
Oh, that was years ago.
Was it
Whatever.
also minimum wage?
Yes.
So he paid you pretty much normal for the industry?
I think my pay was, I brought home like $200 or two something a week.
All right. So what you got paid with Mike Collins and Jessica wasn't unusual for that kind of work then?
No, we're entitled, we should have got paid more, because I did the cooking and tend to kids and tend to classes.
Okay, all right. So you said it's your opinion that Mike caused the problems between himself and Jessica. Is that your testimony?
Yeah, just the tension all the time.
Okay, well, tension
You
requires
just
two
never,
people, doesn't it?
you never know what you was gonna do right or what you was gonna do wrong that day.
If there's tension between two people, it takes two people to generate tension, right? Otherwise, you got one person who's mad. You describe it as tension, is that right?
Yeah, it was like she never done nothing right.
Okay, all right. How long did you work there?
Say all together, maybe 7, 8 years.
Okay, and why'd you leave?
Because I started when my daughter started school in Vidalia High School. They needed somebody then, so I took the job. And I stayed there all the way till her 12th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had a baby. And I left to tend to the baby. But then they needed a cook, so I come back. And I brought the baby with me sometimes.
All right, you didn't leave because of anything Mike Collins did?
No,
Okay, no further questions.
not
All right,
personally.
anything on
That's all right.
redirect, Ms. Maddox?
No, Your Honor.
All right, may this witness be excused from her subpoena.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Thigpen, you're free to stay or go. Call your next witness.
Heidi Richards.
Ms. Richards?
Miss Richards. Heidi Richards.
Heidi Richards. Ma'am, if you'll come and up here to the witness stand, I'll remind you that you've already been sworn. If you'll have a seat, upon you being seated, if you'll state your name for the record and spell it for the benefit of the court reporter, please.
My name's Heidi Richards, HeidiRichards.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Madden.
Good afternoon, Miss Richards. How do you know the parties in this action?
My child went to their daycare.
And what years did your child go to their daycare?
So what? $14, $15, $16, I think.
Okay. So that's 3 years.
Yeah.
And during
Jess.
And what kind of facility did she run?
Good one, clean one. I mean, my daughter was always excited to go. She was sad when I had to bring her home.
Did you ever interact with Mr. Collins?
Not that I can recall. I know my daughter mentioned a guy named Mike, but I didn't realize till later who it was.
And how do you know Miss Collins' name?
She works for me, and she's my friend.
How long has she worked for you?
Since right after she was arrested and the daycare closed.
You decided to employ her even though she had that arrest.
hmm
So
Yes, sorry.
has she been a good employee?
Yes.
Is she timely in her appearance at work?
Yes, she comes to work on time.
And does she work diligently in what she's tasked to do?
Yes.
Other than that, do you have any knowledge of these two parties and the issues in their marriage?
Just what's out there in public.
The fact that she had to get a job.
Yes, because she got arrested and the daycare closed down, yeah.
Had she not gotten arrested, do you have an opinion as to whether or not she would still be working at the daycare?
Oh, I'm sure she would have.
Objection, Your Honor, that calls for speculation.
I'll sustain the objection. Go on to something else.
Was she good at what she did with the kids?
Yes.
Did you have any complaints about her operating the daycare and your kid going
Not at all.
there?
What does she do for you now?
I own a medical billing company, so she works on claims and customer service, calling patients to pay their bills or insurance companies or whatever needs to get
What do
done.
you pay her hourly?
Pardon?
What do you pay her an hour?
14.
$14? All right, thank you. You have any additional questions as a result of my questions, Ms. Mathis?
No, Your Honor.
Cross-examination, Mr. Collins.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Richards, you say you didn't have any interaction with Mike Collins? Was that your testimony?
I don't remember having any interactions. I remember his name because my daughter said it.
Okay. So you didn't see anything, you didn't observe anything around the daycare or anything of that nature, was it?
No, I didn't see him there. There was one gentleman there, and I thought that was Mike, but come to find out later in life, that wasn't Mike.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness excused from her subpoena?
She is.
All right, you're free to go, ma'am, or you can stay if you'd like. All right, who's going to be your next witness?
I'm going to call Jessica Collins, Your Honor.
All right, you're going to be a while with Ms. Collins.
I would imagine, yes, sir.
All right, we'll take our afternoon break now. It is 2:30. We'll stand in recess until 2:45. Ms. Maddox, you may proceed. Y'all, please be seated. Thank you.
I couldn't hear because the
I said
chairs.
you may proceed.
Your Honor, I call my client, Miss Jessica Collins.
All right, Ms. Collins, if you'll come to the witness stand, I don't believe you have been sworn. If you'll come and stand in the witness box, raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this court is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can be seated. State your name for the record and spell it for me, please.
Jessica Collins, JESSICA COLLINS.
Miss Collins, can you tell me what year you first met Mr. Collins?
We were married in 2003, so I met him in 2002.
And what were the circumstances of how y'all met?
I was attending East Georgia College and working at the Christian bookstore, and I was going into early childhood. and he had just opened the daycare. It had been open a couple of months, and a girl that worked with me at the Christian bookstore worked there, and I needed some hours for college for early childhood, so I applied.
Did you get the job?
Yes.
And was it a paid position then that you were getting college credit?
Yes, it was.
Was that part of the school policy or just how it happened?
It just happened to be how it worked out.
And how was the working environment there initially?
It was good. I enjoyed it.
And at some point, did something happen to make you more than just an employee?
Yes, Mr. Collins and I started dating, and then I got pregnant, and then we got married, and it just went from there.
Who asked who out?
He asked me out. He left a note on my car while I was working at the bookstore. And then we ended up going to dinner a couple days. That was one, I don't remember exactly what day during the week, but that Friday night we ended up going out to eat.
Do you remember anything about a baseball game?
I don't recall that, no. I know I did go to some games at some point because his daughter did play softball, but I don't recall that being our first date, no.
Were you actively pursuing him?
No.
And at what point,
You start dating him before you worked at the daycare or after?
During.
maybe clear it up, were you working at the bookstore and the daycare?
Yes, I was at the same time, yes. And going to college
At what point did you stop moving to East Georgia?
when I became pregnant with Jesselyn.
And what year was that?
She was born in 2003, so it would have been, I think that fall was my last semester there.
Did you get to finish?
No, I did not.
And whose decision was that not to finish?
It was mutual. I would have to work during the day and then go to school at night, so I didn't want to not see my baby.
Did Mr. Collins encourage that decision?
Yes, I would have to work during the day at the daycare.
What do you mean by that?
Rephrase your question.
You say, I would have to work during the day.
Yes, so I wouldn't, at that point, we were married and the daycare was ours, and so I would have to work at the daycare during the day, and then I would have to go to school at night.
So at any point, did he offer to just let you not work at the daycare so you could finish your education?
No,
Was that ever on the table?
no,
Okay. Have you finished that degree at any point since then?
no.
How far did you make it?
2 years,
And how much more did you have to go before you had that degree?
2 more. I would have had to finish at Georgia Southern.
How was the pregnancy with him as a support person?
It was good.
Were y'all married before or after she was born?
Before. She was born in July of 2004, and we were married in December of 2003.
How was it as she was a small child in the marital relationship?
When she was a baby, it was good. There wasn't a lot of issues. The older she got, is when the trouble started.
Did he have a child in and out of your household in the previous relationship?
Yes, I have a stepdaughter. Her name is Lindsay,
And how old was Lindsay when you had Lindsay?
14.
And what is the age difference between you and Mr. Collins?
There's 19 years between us.
How old are you now?
41.
And how old is he now?
I'd have to do the math real quick. I don't remember. His birthday's October the 11th. He was born in 63, so I don't know. What does that make him, 59?
Can't do math.
I think he's 59.
How old were you when you met him?
I was 22 when I had Jesselyn, so 21.
Going forward, and how long did you have the stepdaughter in and out of the house for visitation and
always, until she was about 16, and then she just didn't come over as much anymore.
Did you have a good relationship with his ex-wife?
Yes, we get along well.
And does Jessalyn, which is y'all's daughter together,
Mm-hmm.
have a good relationship with, I'm gonna say her extended family on that side?
Yes, they treat her as though she is one of their own.
Do you have a good relationship with your stepdaughter?
Yes, we do have a good relationship.
Now, going through over the years, you said something about when Jessalyn got older, what happened?
She became more of a child that Jessalyn's always been a free spirit. You don't really tell her kind of what to do, and she does her own thing. And unfortunately, that didn't work at our house. He wanted a child that would work, and she was not an outside worker. She assumed she'd rather be inside on her tablet or on her TV or just whatever. So that caused issues with he and I.
When you say work, what do you mean?
Whatever it was going on that day, digging a pond, clearing land. I mean, just there was a never-ending project.
So the activities that he wanted her to participate in were manual labor type things?
Yes.
And when you say she was more of a free spirit, what does that mean?
She just,
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the relevance of this line of questioning. This isn't a custody case. I mean, I understand where Mr. Maddox is going.
I'm going to let her have some leeway because of the issue of conduct in this case being so significant.
Yes, sir.
So I want to understand what effects that's had on this child, because I think it goes to the overall conduct in regards to whether how I make an equitable division, Mr. Collins.
Yes,
The objection's overruled. Go ahead.
So when you mean free spirit, do you mean she liked girly things?
she did for a long time. She liked girly things, dress up, tea parties, baby dolls.
And was that in the same vein as wanting her to go dig holes? I mean, was that her thing? Would she dig holes?
No, she didn't like to be outside and she didn't like to sweat.
Did she help you in the house?
She did. She was a mama's girl.
She did with you, clean with you,
Yes.
those kinds of things?
Yes.
Did she wash clothes and dishes?
When she was younger, yes. When she got older, no, she was too busy.
Okay, so did you just allow her to do absolutely nothing? I guess would be my concern.
No.
What were your expectations for her?
I mean, she was my only child and she was my only baby, so I spoiled her.
And what were Mr. Collins' expectations based on what you saw him do?
When she got older, he would get frustrated because she didn't want to do anything outside or work. She just didn't, that wasn't what she wanted to do.
How did she do in school?
Excellent student, straight A's.
Where is she in school at now?
She is on a softball scholarship.
Have you had any legal problems or issues with her?
No, not one.
Has she done everything that you've expected of her insofar as obtaining education is concerned?
She's exceeded that, yes.
Do you believe that digging holes and ponds and things would have helped her in any way towards her current goals?
At this point, no.
Tell me what his relationship was like as she got older with Jesse.
He always favored children at the daycare above her. When it come time to go or do anything, he would had a group of boys that he would take to do everything, and he would exclude her. And that's she kind of got used to that, so she kind of catered towards me, and she stayed with me all the time. And so when she was asked to do something, because I would pitch a fit or, be ugly about it, he would ask her, and of course she wouldn't want to go, and then it would be a whole argument.
When you say you would pitch a fit or be ugly about it, what were you trying to do?
Make him have a relationship with his daughter.
Was she ever disrespectful to him?
No.
Tell me about the day your sister brought over the chair.
I was redoing her room. We had moved from our house on Joe Hilton to the house on Morris Road, and it was a double wide with 3 bedrooms. We were redoing the rooms. One was just her bedroom, and one she was older, so we were making it a makeup, get ready / type room, just a hangout room. And we went over to my sister's to get a chair, and it wouldn't fit in my car, so she brought it over. And it was just the 2 of us. Jessalyn was inside. I was trying to get it out because her and Mike didn't get along. So I was holding it up, trying to get it out, and Jessalyn came out to help. When she came out to help, he came out behind her. And at that point, Julie had gotten out of the truck because she was going to help as well, and he kind of charged after her. And I was holding on to the chair because Jessalyn dropped her in because I was trying to keep it from falling. And she got in between them, and he pushed her and went after Julie. And then Jessalyn, I think, grabbed his shirt at the time and was begging Julie to get back in the car.
Was that before or after the stroke?
That was after.
Were there any similar instances prior to the stroke?
Once at the daycare, he grabbed me by my face.
And can you demonstrate for me what he did to your face at that here?
It was nap time. We had had a discussion. I don't remember what it was about, but it got a little heated, and he just grabbed me and just told me to hush.
So he grabbed your thumb on one side?
Yes, like,
your fingers
yes,
on your jaw and told you to hush?
yes.
Did that scare you?
It did. That was the first time he'd ever put his hand on me, and I was a little shocked.
And did anything like that happen after that?
After the stroke, two other times it happened.
Tell me about those 2 events.
Right after the stroke, he had only been home maybe a week or so. It'd been raining. It was before I had to go to work, and I wanted to drive his truck to work because we lived on a dirt road, and it was pretty bad. And I was helping him in the bathroom, and I said something about driving his truck, and I don't know what triggered it, but he grabbed me like here and just kind of pushed me. But then he went to lose his balance because he, at that point, wasn't walking really good yet, so I had to help him back up.
So this time you demonstrated
Yeah,
more like closer to the show,
Yes.
grabbing your face.
yes.
Your Honor, object to leading the witnesses.
Don't lead the witness, Ms. Maddox.
How would you describe the setting insofar as how holy it was?
It was more about right here,
And tell me where that is in the record.
around my throat, like right below my jawline.
And then what was the other instance after that?
I had, my grandmother was in the hospital. I was running late to the daycare, and when I got there, I walked into the baby room, and he started just yelling, and I couldn't really make sense of what he was saying, and the next thing I know, he grabbed me around my throat and squeezed and shoved me against the wall, and wouldn't let me go. And I was fighting him, but he was just enough out of reach that I couldn't get him off of me. And he wouldn't let go. And Wanda, our employee, heard the disturbance and came running in as he was letting me go. And I left.
Because you didn't see the actual
I'm not quite sure what she saw. He had her call me later, but I didn't answer the phone.
Going back to the very beginning, were there any promises made to you about that daycare?
Yes.
Tell us what they were.
That the daycare would eventually be mine. He had other things that he was doing at the time. He was working for Savannah Luggage and Oxford and other companies. He would take Gerber machines and he would break them down and take them to other countries like Mexico, and he would put them back up and start it back over, like get the setup going for those textile companies. He was also he had started getting into pond building and land clearing. He had done some ponds for different people. So he had a lot of different things going on. And so the daycare would be mine, and that would be our retirement.
Do you have any retirement?
No. At this point, no, I do not.
How much did you make at the daycare?
My take-home pay was $230 a week.
What did you have to do with your $230 a week?
I bought the household groceries, gas for my vehicle, and anything personally that I needed or Jesslyn needed.
Was there anything left over to save?
Not very much.
Did you spend money frivolously buying $2,000 shoes or
No.
Louis Vuitton handbags?
No, ma'am.
Anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Did Jesslyn participate in festivities?
She was never into dance, but she did softball and swim team. She did gymnastics for a little while, but that became too expensive, that in private school, according to her dad, so she had to pick one. So she actually dropped out of private school to stay in gymnastics and then ended up dropping gymnastics and going to public school.
Was that her choice, his choice, or?
It was his choice. He led us to that choice, I'll say that.
Now, you mentioned earlier, y'all had a house on Joe Hilton Road.
Yes.
What kind of house was that?
It was 5 bedrooms, 4 baths.
And you mentioned you were moving the chair to a different house.
Yes.
You left the 5-bedroom, 4-bath to go to what?
Double wide.
Why didn't you all, emigrate?
He had a stroke. He said the property was too much to keep up. He also stated the house was not paid for, which I later learned was not the truth. And that if we would move back out to the house at in Ailey, it would be closer to his family. It would give him something to do as far as piddling with the land, just something to do during the day while I ran the daycare. Also, he would be closer so his sisters or mom could check on him when I had to be at work. And so we put in to sell the house.
Did you ultimately agree to that?
I was guilted into it, yes. I believed that was the right thing to do at the time because I was told the house was not paid for.
Did you learn later that the house was paid for?
Yes, I did.
And how did that make you feel in this relationship?
I mean, I was upset because I was lied to and led to make a choice that I would have made anyway, but I was manipulated into it.
What year was that?
Jesslyn was in the 6th grade. I'm not quite sure the year. No, I take that back. She was in the 6th grade. First day of school was when he had the stroke. Was
Mr.
her,
Matthews, is there a red dot on that base of that microphone that's lit up?
No.
If you'll just, it's fine, if you'll just hit that center button, that silver button, it'll light up.
We don't have a center button on this one, Your Honor.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. We're hearing you. It's just, it's fine. Go ahead.
So she was in the 6th grade,
Yes, first day of school,
and that was when he had the.
when he had the stroke, yes, in the school drop-off line that morning.
What did you do as a result of his stroke?
We were pulling in, we were arguing, we weren't really arguing, we were doing something about taking a picture, and I was like, you can't park here. And all of a sudden, the right side of his face began to droop as he put the van in park, and then he slid back and laid on her. And he wasn't moving. So I jumped out of the van, opened the van door, grabbed Jesselyn to move her out, because the last thing I wanted was her dad dying on her, because we weren't really sure what was going on. At that time, a teacher was there, actually was her softball coach, Stuart McKee. He immediately called the school nurse and 911. I took Jesselyn straight inside, just a few feet away, to our friend Rhett Carter, who happened to be her teacher, and I just handed her to him. Came back out. Another friend of ours was in the carpool line, and the ambulance would never have gotten there in time. So he got in the van with me, and I sat in the back with Mike, and we drove to the hospital. On the way, I called his sister, because she works at the hospital in Vidalia, and we had a nurse there waiting on him when he got there, so he could go ahead and get the clot buster, because we had about decided that it was a stroke at that point in time, and it just kind of went from there.
How long was he in the hospital after the stroke?
A week in Mayo.
What did your life look like during that week that he was in the hospital?
Well, I never left, except for I had to come back and sign the checks for the daycare employees, and there were some things he needed because he was going to start therapy. So he had to have a pair of specific shoes that I had to go get and different things like that.
While he was out of commission, did you make sure that the house and the daycare ran smoothly?
Yes, I tried.
Throughout your time at the daycare, what was your daily hours?
Most of the time I was there when it opened, and I was there when it closed.
Opening is when?
Usually we're there by 6:45, 6:30, depending on what we were having for breakfast. And we closed at 5:45, but we always had parents that never showed up on time.
How long was he out of commission, so to speak, after the stroke?
He, about 2 months. He had a month of therapy. Should have been longer, but he chose not to go after the first month.
What do you mean he chose not to go?
So with Meadows therapy, you have to set the therapy up a month in advance, and I'd set up the first month, and 2 or 3 weeks in, he had a follow-up appointment in Mayo. I wasn't able to take him because I had gotten a stomach virus, so my sister-in-law and his brother-in-law took him to Mayo, and the doctor cleared him to drive. And then when he came back, he had another month of therapy left. And I didn't find out till I went to schedule the third month of therapy that he never went to the second month. He would come to the daycare and then pretend like he was going to therapy, and he didn't go.
Did that cause you a problem that he did not follow up on his therapy in the marriage?
Yes, the doctor did tell him that if he completed therapy, he should have a full recovery.
Did it bother you that he wasn't willing to invest in himself enough to get this therapy, that it was a problem?
Yes, in the hospital, he had the opportunity to go to in-house therapy. It would have costed us about $10,000, but he didn't want to spend it to go.
Did you have the money to spend on it?
Yes, and if we didn't, I would have found a way to get the money.
When you took the salary of $230 a week, what was your understanding about where the extra money was going to be going?
So when I first started working there, the daycare had not been paid off. It had only been open a few months. So when we got married, I took the lower salary because that money would go towards paying down the daycare. Not only did I take a lower salary, but there were lots of times I worked in a room with 18 to 20 kids, 2-year-olds by myself, so we could save more money because we wouldn't have enough employees.
And whose decision was that?
It was a mutual decision because it was what I thought to be our daycare, and it was paying down the debt of the building.
The daycare was known as Onion Sprouts.
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit 2. Mr. Colley has a copy of it. It's the settlement statement from Onion Sprouts, along with the deed on the property. Do you recognize these?
I've actually never seen those.
They were provided to us in discovery by the opposing side.
Okay.
And
Is there
that-
objection to P2 being admitted, Mr. Collins?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, it's admitted without objection. Let's go on.
So, is that what they sold the onion sprouts for?
They being who?
Let me rephrase. Is that what onion sprouts sold for?
That's what I was told, yes.
Did you have to file a Liz Pendens to stop that sale?
I did, yes.
And did you have to file another Liz Pendens to stop another sale?
I did, yes.
Tell us about the second one that was stopped.
I was told that he would be selling the property in Hickston. It's a shop with 2 apartments attached, the one that he listed as his income.
So that's his purported income?
Yes,
Is that the rental on that?
yes.
Have you had a chance to make a list of items that you believe that actually belong to him?
I'm sorry, I lost you on the Hickston property.
You want me to go back? Okay.
I mean, no, I'm just trying to understand. You brought it up, but I don't know if we got to some sort of conclusion.
I'll go back. The Higston property. It was to be sold,
That's what I was told, yes.
and did you have a number on what it was to be sold for?
It was said to be $150,000.
Well, was it sold or does it still exist?
It still exists. I filed a lien on it.
And what address is that?
It is, I believe it's Thompson Street.
Thompson Street. If I showed you the tax assessor's values on them, could you pull it out for me? Because I don't remember a Thompson Street.
I think it was Thompson Street, but if you have the deeds that I provided, I can.
Can we agree that exhibits 3A through D are properties that have been issued?
Are those all the tax assessors?
They are on the deed you'll be having.
If that's the case, if they're tax assessors, then I'll stipulate to them. I won't object to them.
All right, so what has been admitted now without objection? 3 what?
3A through 3G, and it's the
D
same.
as in dog,
3A is in apple and 3G is in goat.
G. All right. And it's stipulated that those properties are either owned by Mr. Collins or in some corporation that he has an interest in or owns.
Well, no, Your Honor, that wasn't what I was stipulating to. I was stipulating to the entrance of them. I'm not sure if which of these properties. I know he's sold various properties. I think some of them might be properties that he's sold before. But they're all properties he has at one time had an interest in. I'll stipulate to that. If you
All
understand.
right, so 3A through G are admitted, and there's an issue still an issue remains as to whether he owns or doesn't own the property.
Exactly, Your Honor. That's our position.
But he did own the properties at one time.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And that ownership was during the course of the marriage.
Sir?
That ownership was during the course of the marriage.
Yes, even though it may have been acquired before, he did own them
I
during the course of the
understand.
marriage.
Okay.
Let's go through these one at a time, and that may help make
Okay.
it a little bit more.
This is the property 120 that is behind the 248 Joe Hilton. When we purchased it, it had a double wide on it, and it also had an additional 50 acres of land.
So you're looking at 3A,
Yes.
and is that still titled in his name?
Yes, I believe he just moved a double wide there now and put a well or septic tank there.
You mean he added something to it?
Yes.
Hold on just a second.
Maybe that one right there.
So that's 3A.
Yes, 3B is the place that we lived that was the 5-bedroom, 4-bath on Joe Hilton. It was sold during the time we were married. That is the property that's it's right in front of the 120 of Joe Hilton.
And so 3B, he no longer has, but it was bought and sold during the course of the marriage.
Yes,
And is that the one that you thought had debt on it, but it did not?
yes.
Okay.
And
Now, at some point, 3B and 3C, one references a house and the other one has some acreage.
yes.
Tell us about that.
So 3B was the house that we purchased. The land behind it was the 3A, which at the time there was a double wide there that he used for rental property.
And he still has 3A.
Yes, he does.
And 3B,
Was sold during the marriage.
all right, what about 3C?
3C looks like it's also a part of that Joe Hilton. It's the 248, it's the outbuildings.
Outbuilding.
So there are 2 outside buildings and a barn.
Does he still own that?
He owns the barn and the land the barn is in.
So is that 27.81 acres, am I understanding that right?
I believe so, yes.
All right, and then you have 3D, what is that?
I don't recognize 3D. I don't. I think this might be Hickston. Let me look at 3E first. 3E is where we lived in the double wide. This is the double wide that's been moved to 120 Joe Hilton. And then 3F is the,
D, does he still own it, or do y'all still own
3B, the one.
it? E as in dog.
Yes, that's the building in Hickston. That's the one with the 2 apartments.
All right. Let's take them one at a time. What about 3E?
3E, that's the. Yes, he still owns that as well.
And then you were referencing 3F. What's 3F?
3F looks like it's some acreage that would have had the shop that also has a pond house on it at the time, right now.
Still on it?
Yes, he does.
And then 3G.
3G is Onion Sprouts and the dance studio that's adjacent to it.
And that's what that closing statement was about.
Yes, sir.
So, all right.
Had you known that Mr. Collins would take the position that Onion Sprouts was not yours, would you have prepared for your retirement?
Yes, I would have gotten a different job at some point.
Would you have finished your degree at East Georgia?
I would have liked to, yes.
And did you give those things up in contemplation of building the marital unit with Mr. Collins?
Yes.
When did your world fall apart?
Which time?
Well, maybe let's start with the first time.
The stroke was a hard blow. And then it went downhill after that.
Did you try to work through the issue of the stroke?
I did, yes.
Did Mr. Collins meet you in your efforts to work through the issue of the stroke?
No.
When did it fall apart the second time?
When I was arrested.
And, Your Honor, we have stipulated to save us several witnesses to admit these certified copies of these incident reports.
Mr. Colley,
That's correct, Your Honor.
and how is it marked?
It's marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit 4, Your Honor,
All right, P4 is admitted without objection.
and they're individually A, B, and C, but it's together.
Well, then it's marked 4A through, well, let's be specific, so we're making a record.
All right, so tell us what happened.
Wanda Mackey and I had gone to lunch. During the time we were gone, there was a child that had been bullying another child. Mr. Collins was on the playground with the children. He went to sit the child down. The child threw a crazy fit, just insane, which had not been, he'd thrown that fit prior. I didn't see what happened. Miss Wanda and I came back from lunch, went on about our day. That night, the child's mother called. She was upset about what happened. I spoke with Mr. Collins, Mike, about it. He showed us the video, and he said he was going to meet with the parents the next day and show them the video. I advised him that that was not the proper course of action. I do not feel he was harming the child, but what parents see and what actually happened are two different things. Sometimes they don't care about what actually happened, just what happened to their child. They came in. I asked, did he need me to stay? He said no, he had it under control. Miss Wanda and I again went to lunch. We came back. He was still in the meeting with Jay Turner and her husband. Things did not go well. I stepped in to try to help, but at that point, it had gone way too far. She got upset. She took her, she left. The next thing I know, 2 police officers came back, and they were in a meeting with Mike. He didn't need me to stay, said he had it under control. He went on the van route. He came back with a load of children. I was in the back preparing snack, and I had about 20 kids back there. The detective came in. spoke with Miss Wanda, asked her to see, I guess to get into the office. She didn't have a key, I did. She and the detective came to the back and got me. The detective and I went up to the front of the office, unlocked the door, and I went to show him the DVR, and it wasn't there.
You got charged
Yes.
with what?
Obstruction of justice, I believe, and maybe taking the DVR or tampering with evidence.
Did you do that?
No, I didn't even know it was missing.
If you knew it was gone, would you took them back there voluntarily to look at it?
Not hardly.
What year was that?
It was my daughter's 8th grade year. I can just tell you it was in the fall because it was soccer time. It rocked on a few weeks. The detectives came to the daycare to talk to me. I answered their questions. My uncle, who is an attorney, Jess Clifton, actually called and said that it was worse than what I thought, that we should get an attorney. I went to Mike and asked, is there something going on? And he said no, he had it under control, not to worry about it. At that time, we did use Keith Pollitt, so we could have called him. He kept assuring me everything was fine. A Friday afternoon, about 3 o'clock, a parent came out to the daycare and told me that he was being arrested.
Just tell us what happened, not what they said.
Okay, so they let me know that he was being arrested. I walked inside, and the detective Holcomb, I believe was his name, informed me that he was under.
Well, I think she's trying to explain the conduct she had or did that afternoon, and I'm going to allow it solely for that purpose. Not for the truth of the matter asserted, Mr. Collins.
Detective Holcomb informed me that Mr. Collins was out front in handcuffs, that I was also being arrested. I informed him that somebody at all times had to be at the daycare, so both of us couldn't be gone. The only other person I could call was my sister, who had the same certification that we did. She worked at J.D. Dickerson. She had the same certification, so she could come to the daycare. I called her, and then she, in turn, called my Uncle Jess, who called in a favor. I believe he called you, and then he called the courthouse to get a judge to go over and sign our bond. We were both arrested that day.
You hauled off in the back of a police car in handcuffs?
I was stood out front for 15 minutes while parents came in handcuffs before they decided to haul us off. And we rode in separate vehicles.
How did that make you feel?
I was very angry.
You stayed.
I did. Actually, when I got there, they tried their best to get me to turn on him, to tell them that he is the one that took the DVR, and I just told them, I actually didn't give a statement at all. I told them they could just take me on to jail.
You stood by your man.
I tried, yes.
Okay. Ultimately, your charges were dismissed how long later?
Within a few days,
You stayed in the marriage.
yes.
Why?
There's always that hope someone will change.
How did things go after the arrest at home?
I mean, we basically lived separate lives. I attended to Jessalyn. I attended to all her needs. I went to all of her functions. I actually had to get a second job to pay for additional things that she needed.
When y'all were even living in the same household, did he provide you with financial support for her?
No,
Not a penny?
no.
How long did that go on?
I finally left November 1st of 2020. Jessalyn came to me and said that she couldn't take it anymore, that it was,
But she's explaining the conduct as to why she left, and if it was based on what the child said to her, I'm going to allow it just for that purpose?
Yes, sir.
She wanted to move, and so I started putting a plan in place to find somewhere for us to go.
Was she still under 18 at that time?
She had just turned 16 in July.
And you waited until 2022 to file a divorce?
I did, yes.
Why did you wait so long?
Well, if I tell you, he's going to object to hearsay, but it was a lot for Jesselyn mentally. She just couldn't handle the fact that if he came to her ball games, that it could be an issue, and we were living separate, and she was fragile. She started anxiety medication. I tried to get her to go see a therapist. She wasn't really open to that. Then we finally did get her in to see one. And then when she went to college, it was time.
Did he participate in her extracurricular activities?
He did show up to softball games once we left, yes.
Did he pay for uniforms?
No.
What all kinds of things would you need somebody to pay for? I've never done that, so what monies are required for that?
Well, if you have a daughter like mine, she's involved in everything. So she did varsity tennis, and she did varsity softball. So it was just a lot of traveling. It required food, gloves, bats, cleats, tennis shoes, tennis rackets, prom dresses, prom hair, prom makeup, graduation pictures, graduation outfits, senior trip, a car.
Well, you've heard him say you didn't ask. Why didn't you ask?
I shouldn't have to ask. You came to every ball game. If you had intentions of giving your daughter money, you could have handed it to her. They also had a joint savings account that he could have put money in any time that I'm not allowed to touch. And there was an occasion too when she went out to his house to help him with something, and there was no money given to her then. I actually had to give her gas money.
To go help him?
Yes, he had a doctor's appointment. She took him, and it ended up costing me money.
Make sure I understood correctly. She took him to the doctor, and it costed you money.
Yes, because I provided her gas because she worked part-time at the rec department when she could, because she took college classes and played 2 varsity sports.
How far is she in school now?
She's in her 2nd year of college. She actually got her degree last semester, her liberal arts degree. And so now she's finishing up in May, and she will go to pursue her radiation therapist degree.
Tell me about the tax money.
Well, stimulus money was based and went based on the prior year of how your taxes were filed. He always filed the taxes. Whatever money we got back always went into his checking account that I was not on. Every year I was told we'd never got any money back, actually. And then when stimulus money came out, it automatically went into that account. I do believe I contacted you to find out how I could get that changed. And at that point, there was no way. So he in turn got stimulus 4 different times for both of us, or all 3 of us.
So he kept yours and Jesselyn's portion,
Yes,
even though he didn't help take care of y'all at all during those times?
yes. Because the house we lived in was paid for. That's that double wide. So we didn't have rent.
Have you had to pay, well, when did you move out of the marital residence?
November 1st of 2020.
Have you had to pay rent?
Yes.
How much has your rent been since then?
It was $450 when I started. It's at $475 now.
financial affidavit that has how much you've had in monthly expenditures. Has it been pretty level since 2020, or has it gone up or down, or?
It's pretty consistent. It's a tight budget.
Okay. Does Jesselyn have any student loans at this point?
Not at this point, thankfully.
And how has she managed to pay for this portion of her education?
She has a job on campus. She was awarded several scholarships, and what that didn't cover, I've paid out of pocket.
Do you ever plan on going back to school yourself?
I don't know. It wouldn't be for education.
Are you scared at this point?
Oh, gosh, yes.
I'm going to ask you some really basic questions that go along with getting a divorce. And try to clean this up. Y'all were married December 20th of 2003
Yes,
and separated when you stated.
yes,
He's a resident of Montgomery County.
yes,
You served him with his divorce here.
yes,
And prior to filing this divorce, you were also a resident of Montgomery County but moved to Toombs when you separated. Is that right?
yes,
There's one child issue of this marriage who is now an adult, correct?
right,
And is this marriage irretrievably broken with no hope of reconciliation?
yes,
And do you assert at least 3 instances of cruel treatment physically by him?
yes,
Mental treatment, mental cruelty, we didn't go into that a whole lot. Did any of that occur?
yes.
And tell us about that.
There was always something, always dangling. When Jesselyn was small, I just wanted to be a mom. I just enjoyed being her mother. I enjoyed being with her. He would always threaten to sell the daycare for me and want me to go find another job and put her in daycare somewhere else. When it got to the point where that didn't work anymore, I think me and several employees, that was hearsay, never mind, you can call her back to the stand. That didn't work anymore. The house on Joe Hilton was bought. I actually didn't want the house on Joe Hilton. I preferred to stay in our double wide. The house was what he wanted to better our family. That was a decision he made, and I supported. When I started loving the house, decorating the house, it was, well, I'm going to sell this house. I'm going to sell this house. Then when the house was no longer an issue and the daycare was no longer an issue, the control slipped. And he just didn't have the control anymore. I was making my own money and not dependent on his $230 a week. So therefore, that was it.
Are you asking for the court to give you an equitable division of these marital assets, take into consideration everything that you've talked about, and give you a fair amount to be divorced from Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Your pretrial also says she was asking for alimony.
Yes, Your Honor. Are you asking for temporary and permanent alimony, or whatever the court's willing to award?
I'll let that be the judge's decision.
Okay. And if the court does choose to award alimony, maybe lump sum, are you asking that the court take into consideration the taxes that you'll have to pay on any lump sum that may be awarded out of that $435,000 that's sitting there?
Yes.
You're asking for your attorney's fees and court costs?
At this point, yes.
Is there anything at all that I may have forgotten to ask you about that you think is important for Judge Caulfield to know about this marriage and the breakdown of it?
I don't think so, no.
Or anything at all that you think is important to make a decision?
Nope, unless he has a question for me. I'm good.
I'll tell the witness.
Cross-examination, Mr. Collins.
Yes, Your Honor. How you doing, Ms. Collins?
Hey,
All right, so when you and Mr. Collins started dating, you got pregnant. You're not making any allegation that he forced you to have sex with him or anything, are you?
no,
All right, so you voluntarily had sex with him and got pregnant.
yes,
Okay. Now, I have to ask this. Excuse me, you didn't get pregnant on purpose, did you?
no,
Just an accident.
right.
All right. So after y'all, got married and everything, did he pay off your student loans?
No,
Okay. All right. Did he pay off your credit card debt?
he did. That was his choice. I never asked.
Okay. Did you have student loans?
I did, yes.
Okay. All right. Now, are you
How
from the
much
country?
was the credit cards debt, how much was it?
It was less than $1,000.
Okay.
Did your student loans eventually get paid off?
Yes,
Okay. All right. Now, are you from the country originally? Where are you from originally?
Oak Park, Georgia.
Okay. All right. I don't know about you. When I was a kid, I would go ride places with my dad. My sisters would too. Did you ever just go ride places with your dad when you were a kid?
My granddad, yes.
Okay. Did you ever think that Mike asking Jesselyn to go work with him was him trying to spend time with her?
Could have been his way.
Okay. Did you ever encourage her to go, even though she didn't like it? Did you ever say, "Look, Dad wants to spend time with you"?
I did, yes.
Okay. Were you able, you said you wanted him to make him have a relationship with his daughter. Would that have been a way to do so? To say you need to go ride with Dad and look at the pond or anything like that?
Yes. I also encouraged him to do other things with her that were outside of work that he chose not to do.
Okay. Like what?
Tea parties, play and dress up, things that little girls like to do.
Okay. All right, so let's go back to that. You said she was a kind of a girly girl. She liked clothes and tea parties.
She was.
But she's also on a softball scholarship, so she's not entirely a girly girl.
That changed very quickly when she hit about the third grade.
Okay, so at that point, would she have been willing to go ride around with her daddy to check the pond or check the cows or anything like that?
She did enjoy doing that sometimes, yes.
Okay, all right. Now, so y'all had a double wide. So once y'all got married, y'all moved into double wide, right?
No, we lived in a single wide, and then we purchased the double wide when she was 3.
Okay, how was that double wide purchased?
It was part of, Mr. Collins purchased it.
Okay, did you have to do anything to buy it?
No,
Okay, did you have to talk to the realtor or talk to a mortgage company or anybody?
we did go together to pick it out and things like that.
Okay, but you just showed him the one you wanted and he got it for you?
We looked at several, and we just picked the one from there. Yes,
Okay.
it was mutual.
Did he get you a Trailblazer too during y'all's marriage?
He did, yes, because when we first got married, I had a car that he said would not make it down the dirt road. So I gave it to my sister, and he gave me a 1989 Pathfinder to drive.
Okay, all right. So when did y'all get the Trailblazer?
We got the Trailblazer when she was around 3.
Okay, all right. And then y'all moved in that house on was it Joe Hilton?
Yes,
Okay. That's the one that was eventually sold, is that correct?
that's correct.
Did you have to do anything to get that house?
No, I actually didn't want that house. That was what he wanted.
Okay, but he got it for you. You didn't have to take any trouble, worry, or anything about getting it.
No, we just met with the realtor, and that was it.
Okay, all right. Now, what was the resolution of Mike's case with the daycare incident?
I couldn't tell you. He kept it. I know he had to do some anger management and some counseling, and then after that, it was, I believe, dismissed.
It was dismissed also, right?
I believe so, yes.
Do you recall having a deposition on May 25th, 2023?
Yes,
Okay. All right, in that deposition, you testified that you thought Mike was a good person, that you loved him, right?
I did, yes.
Okay, was he a good father?
In the beginning, yes.
Okay. All right. When did he not become a good father? At what point did he change?
Before the stroke, he had changed. It had started with, well, you would call it hearsay, but it started with his first daughter. There was some issues there with her and a boyfriend, and then it just kind of went from there. It became issues that transpired down to Jesselyn.
Okay. All right. Is he on speaking terms with Jesselyn now? Are you aware?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, I thought you said she went and helped him recently and you had to pay for gas.
That was back in when she was 16, 17 before we left.
I got you.
Or right after we left, I'm sorry.
Okay, I guess I just didn't get the time frame down there. All right, did Mike ever drink when y'all were married?
No,
Not once? You never saw him drink?
never. He doesn't drink at all.
Okay, did he ever do drugs?
None.
Okay. So besides the time that you said that he grabbed your face at the daycare after the stroke, was he ever physical with you?
Yes, before that,
Okay.
he was physical.
So that happened before the stroke. That one incident happened.
One incident happened in the 2-year-old room during nap time. He grabbed me by the face. The second time was after he had the stroke and he came home and he grabbed me by my throat. The third time was,
Yeah, I heard your testimony earlier.
yeah.
Let her finish the question, her response, Mr. Colley, before you interject.
I'm sorry. You
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
You were talking about a third incident.
Third incident was when I came in from, I was coming into work. I had picked up another employee, was running a little late and went into the baby room and it transpired from there.
Okay. But you didn't ever think it was anything serious enough to file a report or anything like that. Is that right?
No, I wouldn't have filed a report. Honestly, I didn't have time to file a report. That same day, my grandmother coded and died a week later.
I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. Now, do you recall in that deposition on May 25th, 2023, you kept referring to Jesselyn as your child? Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you were asked about that, and you said, well, when he provides no support, then she is my child.
Well, regardless, she is my child. I gave birth to her, so I think any mother or parent would say your child.
When you were asked, is it our child? You said, when he doesn't provide support, then she's my child. Do you recall that?
I do recall that, yes.
Okay. Did you ever tell Jesselyn anything like that?
Never.
Okay. You never tried to alienate her affections from Mr. Collins?
Never, not one time.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I think you put her on the witness list, so if you called her, she'd tell you that.
Okay. All right. Now, so that means then that you've been without alimony for the whole time y'all have been separated, right?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you allege you need it now if you've been getting by fine without it so far?
That would be the judge's decision.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Anything on redirect?
No, Your Honor, and if I may have a moment, we may rest. I'd like to confer with
All
my
right.
client.
Take your time. On exhibit, I think it was 3C. I do not see, or it's not readily apparent to me any value for that property.
Judge, I can reprint it out. Maybe the printer ate the last page.
Well, I'm showing, this is the first page of 3C, and then it goes to the warranty deed that involves 3C, or appears to be the warranty deed dealing with 3C.
I propose that Mr. Colley and I look, write it down straight off the tax assessor's value.
Well, I'm just saying it has y'all can look. I may be missing it.
3C. Yeah. Yeah.
All the other ones have itemization of what it was in like 20 and then moves all the way over to 23, or starts at some point. If y'all can stipulate as to what the value is in 23, that's,
Well,
I think they had to, in that, the shop in Houston.
Yeah, that's the shop. Well, I'm thinking that's the one with the barn on it, Mike. Let me see.
he bought it for 51 plus 161, I think. So
Bought it for 50 plus
209.
back in 2011.
What's the address?
What property is this? It's got 248 Joe Hilton, but I know 248 Joe Hilton's got a separate.
That's the one that we saw.
It's one y'all sold. Y'all sold it in 2012? Yeah. Okay. And you know what y'all sold it for? 60.
60, yeah.
160. 160. It's probably not 51. It's 160.
The 51. That's 161. Let me see something.
It's at 161.
I've got he still owns 3C.
if I remember right, it had about $10,000, $11,000 worth of improvements on
You haven't owned that anymore.
it. Well, the testimony was that he still owns it.
That's Hickston with the 2 apartments that he gets rid of.
So
I think she
at
testified that y'all
$1,000 an acre, then
still- So we'll have to
talking
get your
about
testimony.
minimum 39,000.
Yeah, Your Honor,
And
my client says
I'd like to buy some land in Montgomery County for $1,000 an acre.
you might have some. Your Honor, he says they don't own this land anymore. I think there may be some.
All right, we'll just wait until you present your case then, and we'll,
Judge, I would offer the purchase price at, it looks like you paid 51,620 and 161,500 on 3/16/2011, and it's referenced in the top line, and I think that would be a reasonable value on the property, which would have been
so about 52,000 is what he paid for it.
161 plus 51, that's like,
210.
Oh, 161.
Yes,
Okay.
sir, may I approach and I can
Sure.
show you where I'm getting it from?
And I'll get his testimony on it too.
On the top line there, it's got land, and it's got the other, and it's got sales price, 51 and 161.
Okay. I'll just make my decision based on the evidence that's presented to me right now. If you want to prove otherwise, Mr. Connolly, you're going to need to prove otherwise.
Rob, it was bought before the marriage. This is the 2 apartments, this is where it wasn't in that stack. Already is in that stack. We were looking at 2 different ones. Yeah, now my bag's killing me. Okay. Plaintiff rest, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Colley, you can call your first witness.
You still want to go testify? You can go testify. I'll call Mike Collins, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Collins, you can come back to the witness stand. I remind you that you're still under oath.
Mr. Collins, let's talk about these properties. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Present him with these.
You may.
All right, Mr. Collins, we have tendered these into evidence. These are all the properties you have owned or used to own or currently own. Once you look through these and tell us about these properties, tell us, I know this is a compound question, but tell us whether you still own them. If you don't own them, when did you sell them and for how much?
Okay. This one would be,
No, sir, if you'll be kind enough to refer, each one of those pieces of property are designated A through G.
Okay.
It would be most helpful to the court and to the court reporter and the lawyers for you to reference. If you're talking about A, say, property A. If you're talking about B, property B.
all right,
You understand?
yes.
Very good.
So, Mr. Collins, give me the address of property A, 3A. It'll say it there at the top.
I don't see that one.
Okay. I'm going to approach, may I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Here you go. You didn't pick up the whole thing right there.
Yeah, here it is.
All right, so tell us read us the address of property 3A, please.
This is 120 Joe Hilton. I think we got this one for
The question was, what was the address? I don't believe he's asked anything further than that.
120 Joe Hilton.
Okay, do you still own that property?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about it. How many acres is it? Is there a house on it?
It's got 25 acres. There's nothing on it but some hay.
So what?
Hay.
Okay. Does Hector keep his cows there or a different property?
Do what?
Does Hector keep his cows there?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. When did you acquire that property?
It would be at least a year and a half when I had the property on 248 Joe Hilton.
Mr. Colley, I'll let you do whatever you want to do, but the dates and times of when he purchased the property are specified on those exhibits.
Understand.
And I don't need him to tell me.
I understand.
I hope you believe I've got the intelligence to read the document
I believe
and
it.
ascertain
Yes, sir.
when
All
he
right.
bought it.
So it was, in other words, it was before you got married.
No, with this one, me and Jessica got this after we got married.
Okay, all right. Now let's move on to 3B. Give me the address of that property.
Once again, do we need to get the address because he's testifying from the document, Mr. Colley, and
I'm trying to make it easier for the court to outline to visualize where all the properties are.
well, Mr. Colley, he's going to be reading from a document that's been admitted into evidence. And
Well, tell me about 3B. Tell me.
Hold on just a second. Let me get the other one right here. This is the 248 Joe Hilton.
No, you still own it?
No.
Okay. What did you sell it for?
I think it was 160,000.
Okay, I got you. All right. Now let's move on to 3C.
Mhm. I don't know what happened. I mean, this is the same property. It was sold when we sold the 3B.
All right, well, let's do it this way. Tell me what properties you still own.
So we got D. This is my property in Hickston. It will be 150.
Mr. Collins, I thought we had an understanding that you would specify the property by saying it was 3A, B, C,
I
D,
did say
E, F, or G.
Okay, all right, what, you're looking at 3C right now?
D.
3D, all right. Do you still own that property?
Yes.
Okay. All right, what about 3E? Do you still own that property?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, all right. What about 3F?
Yes. I have that.
Okay. And finally, what about 3G?
And we sold that. It was be
That's the onion sprout business, the
It-
building that's just been
maybe-
sold for.
2.5 years ago.
Right, now, you have told me that you sold onion sprouts, correct? That note for $193,000.
Yes.
You indicated to me that
Yes.
that is owed on onion sprouts.
Yes. When I got the property sold, I wanted to roll that over and pay that off. Because right now, I guess it's almost 3 years of going over and over and over. So,
But your testimony is that the $193,000 is to pay off.
Objection leading, and I think it's.
It is leading, and
let me get this straight.
Mr. Collins, when I speak, there's nobody else speaks. And there's been admitted into evidence, plaintiff's exhibits 2, that does not reflect that there was any money owed on that property. And had there been money owed on that property, knowing real estate law to the extent that I do, that debt would have been paid off.
I can only go by what my client tells me, Your Honor.
I understand.
All right, so what are Ms. Maddox asked you about your debts. Tell me about what all your outstanding debts are.
That is the only one I owe.
That 193 is the only big debt you have. Okay, all right. All right, so let's go back when you and her met. So you've heard some testimony that you were, for lack of a better term, a hothead or whatever. Is that true?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, you've heard testimony that you were abusive. Did you ever abuse Miss Collins?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, you've heard testimony that you grabbed her, you choked her. Did that happen?
Yeah, but I was fall on her.
You what now? I'm sorry.
When I started to get her, I fell on her.
Okay. I got you. I understand. All right. So tell me about your stroke. Tell me what your limitations are now that you've had the stroke.
Well, I don't have any muscles in my leg. and my hand, I have to do it with my right hand.
Does that prevent you from being able to work?
I don't know.
Okay. Have you spoken to an attorney about disability or anything?
I've tried to do that, and almost 8 years,
Okay.
and I still don't have nothing.
All right. So right now you're not drawing any disability.
I'm sorry.
You're not drawing any disability right now. Is that correct?
No.
Now, we've got some testimony that you get income from rental properties. Is that the only income you get?
Yes.
Okay. What else would you like this court to know about this whole situation? Now's your chance to shine. What would you like this court to know as far as how to equitably divide these properties and anything you'd like this court to know?
Well, I thought I had a prenup so that when
Your Honor, I object. That's irrelevant.
I thought there was a stipulation that the prenup was not valid.
There was. Sir.
All right. You can't talk about the prenup, Mr. Collins.
I think he's trying to explain what he's.
I'm just trying to verbalize,
This court doesn't care what that prenup meant, because there's a stipulation that was invalid.
Okay.
So there's no need for me to hear testimony about it, Mr. Colley.
I agree with
So we need to go on to something else.
All right. So, aside from the prenup, what would you like this court to know? What do you think would be relevant information this court needs to know to make its decision? You're aware we've taught that the court can equitably divide assets, right?
yes.
What do you think this court needs to know to be able to equitably divide y'all's assets?
I don't even know.
Your Honor, may I have a few minutes with my client?
I'm sorry?
May I have a few minutes with my client, please? May I?
Sure, you can go back into the jury room back here and confer with him.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Let's make sure you leave the exhibits here.
Your Honor, may we stand in recess for a restroom break?
Sure. Testimony in regards to the divorce.
Okay. I'm not exactly sure what happened here. It all happened behind closed doors. He went into that room with his client. And then I didn't see the defense attorney go in with them. I didn't see anything. They just came out and they're talking about an agreement being signed. Nothing happened. Here's what I think happened. I don't know what happened. It all happened behind closed doors, but I think the husband heard the testimony and how the court went. And instead of letting the judge decide anything, they quickly made a deal with the wife and came up with an agreement that we don't get to hear what it is. But it looks like he conceded to a lot because he's not happy.
Ms. Collins, if you'll come forward, please. And if y'all will put in the evidence in regards to the divorce, please.
Oh, and they get the divorce.
And the agreement settles all issues.
It does, Your Honor.
Is that correct, Ms. Madden?
Yes, Your Honor.
Including attorney fees?
It's included, yes. We can take that here and it was set off.
Okay.
All right. State your name for the record, please, ma'am. Jessica Collins. You're the plaintiff in this action.
Yes.
You're married to Timothy M. Collins.
Yes.
Y'all were married on December 20th, 2003 in Toombs County.
Yes.
Y'all separated on November 1st, 2020.
Yes.
Since that date, you've lived in a continuous bona fide state of separation.
Yes.
And you're currently a resident of Toombs County,
Yes.
and he is a resident of Montgomery County.
Yes.
And he was personally served with this complaint for divorce. Is that right?
Yes.
Y'all have no minor children issue of this marriage. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and none are expected.
No.
Gotcha. All right, is this marriage irretrievably broken with no hope of reconciliation?
Yes.
And as we previously stated, you signed a settlement agreement on February 2nd of 2024, agreeing to settle all issues arising out of this marriage, including but not limited to alimony, division of property, division of assets, division of debts, everything that you need from this divorce. Is that right?
Yes.
Are you asking the court to incorporate that into a final judgment and decree? Do you want the judge to make that his order,
Yes.
and you want to be divorced?
Yes.
Okay. So you're asking for a divorce?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Colley, could I see the agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
I've got to approve it. And if you would just make sure that we place on the record that this is Mr. Collins' agreement also. Did you hear me, Mr. Colley?
I did. Stand up, please. You raise your right hand.
Well, he's already sworn. They're sworn.
Okay. So we've announced on the record that you have reached an agreement settling all the issues between you. Is this true? Okay. And you are a resident of Montgomery County?
Yes.
Okay. And she's a resident of, I believe, Toombs County, right? Okay. Is your marriage irretrievably broken?
Yes.
Okay. Are you asking this court to accept this settlement agreement in resolution of all issues pending between and Jessica? Okay. And you have no minor children, is that right? Okay.
All right, so the monies will be paid within a week of today's date.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct, Mr. Collins?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
These documents, all the rushing and all, he has to sign anything, I would expect him to do that.
I have no idea what she's saying now.
So you might have to sign something to get your money. You understand? So-
Release of all his things.
Okay. She's going to release all those properties that will be
So
yours
there's not
free
a
and clear.
provision in the agreement that each of them will sign whatever's necessary to,
There is, Your Honor. If you look at, I don't have a copy of it. It should be right there with the 228,000.
numerical paragraph 12 says, each of the parties shall properly execute and deliver all written instruments which shall be reasonably required to give full force and effect to this agreement. All right.
Can I have a final judgment decree that Mr. Collins or even?
I've got one in my hand.
Oh, you do? I wonder
Is that not the same one?
Yeah, it is the same one, Your Honor. It was in the back of the settlement agreement, I guess.
May I, the only change is about,
I'm gonna sign the one y'all want me to sign, so I don't care which one it is.
And he stopped the feed there. That's it. He stopped the feed. It's in his mind over. So yeah, I think you guys are right. Like he was about to get nailed because it was just a horrible hearing for him up and down and all around. So he came up with an agreement, and he has to pay the money within a week, and then they are divorced. Yeah, yes, yes, Kelly. Kelly says that she's now several $100,000 richer, and yes, yes, she is. Yes, she is. It was just great. I mean, as soon as I heard double wide, I knew that this court was for me. I knew it. With the accents and the daycare, him roughing up a child. I don't know if he roughed up a child. I don't know. But she got arrested for it, and then the charges were dropped, but the damage was already done. That place had to close down. Well, it was a long one, but I didn't know what to cut out to make it shorter, so I left it all in there. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I do have more for tomorrow, so I will see you guys all again very soon. Thanks, guys.